Mmm. Mmm. Welcome to Mirror Domains Movie News, your place for entertainment headlines. And indeed, this is a live news show for movie fans, where we talk about all the trending movie news headlines of the day, including what's going on with Five Nights at Freddy's. Jacob Elordi's going to be joining Frankenstein movie with Del Toro, so that's cool. Stranger Things 5 gets going. Is there going to be a Picard movie? Who knows? James Gunn's Superman saying that he may not be able to fly? No, he's going to fly, guys. You know that. It's Monday. Of course, we're going to talk about the weekend's box office. Normally, we're at 10:30 today. But, hey, due to some issues I had to go and take care of during the day, we're here, 6:45, and we're going to start off today's show by talking about the Golden Globes and the winners yesterday. It was a big show, right? Everybody liked that show? No? Oh, no. Not everybody liked the host of the show. I don't know this guy, so I didn't know who he was, this Joe Coy. Apparently he did some jokes that didn't land. He was a little bit crass. I'm not here to talk about that, guys. I don't know who he is. Something came up to me. Okay, you want to try to be funny. Why? You're trying to present, you're trying to host, right? Why don't you get professional people who are professional presenters, professional spokespeople? You don't need comedians. You don't need, well, actors maybe, but you don't need people like this. You need people like this to get up there and move the show along. Occasionally say something funny. It's more about the way that you deliver this normal language over the fact that, hey, I'm a comedian, so, I come up with all these jokes and people will laugh at me. No, I'm not like that. I'm a presenter. I present news. I present stories. I present ideas and thoughts in my head. And I know that comedy is supposed to be sort of the same way, but it didn't land. That being said, I'm not going to talk about it anymore, except for one more part when they talk about my Tay-Tay. Let's go through the winners list, and I'll give you my thoughts. We're not going to go into detail with the TV stuff. This will be primarily the movie stuff. So let's get into it. Best Motion Picture Drama went to Oppenheimer. I think that's no surprise there, right? I think the only other thing that may have given it a run for its money was Killers of the Flower Moon, which I don't understand how, but I don't think Oppenheimer is going to be a clear lock, I think, for the Oscars, right? Best Motion Picture, Musical or Comedy. Poor Things. Yeah. Now, you guys know that I happen to really like Poor Things. It ended up in my top 5. Yeah, wow. And I didn't believe that would happen, because I knew the director, Yorgos Lanthimos, is kind of he kind of does these weird abstract things. And yes, Poor Things was weird and abstract, but it was also really good. It had a lot of drama behind it. And Emma Stone was fantastic. The whole cast was great, but Emma Stone was a highlight. I think people were confused about May December being there. When we saw this announced, you guys knew that. I was like, how is that possibly a comedy? It is not. It deserves to be up here. If I were going to switch one, I would say Maestro is I would say that Maestro is more of a comedy than May December. But anyway, it's over and done with, so we don't have to talk about it anymore. The Boy and the Heron wins Best Animated. And I'm seeing this from a lot of pundits out there. They don't seem to understand how to pronounce the word heron. I hear heron. The Boy and the Heron. And what do you... Guys, you know what a bird is, right? For God's sakes, The Boy and the Heron. You don't know how to pronounce that? Studio Ghibli, The Master, Hayao Miyazaki. I like the movie. And out of the list here, I think the only other one that I think would have given a run for his money would have been Elemental. But James, everybody loves Spider-Man. Don't you know that Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is the best thing since sliced bread? Well, no, it's not, because I don't like the animation style. I'm never going to probably watch those movies simply because of the animation. James, that's prejudice. I'm not watching this show anymore. That's thumbs down. Well, hey, we all have our preferences in the way that I like to watch things. Do you want to see me chopping around, moving like this all the time? Is that smooth? You like that? Oh, it's artistic, though. It's artistic. I'm sorry. No, I like things smooth. I like things big and grandiose. And that's exactly what The Boy and the Heron was. And Elemental was charming. So I think that was just in its win. Because I think it'll be down between The Boy and the Heron and Elemental for the Oscar as well. Cinematic and box office achievement. Dear God. Hey, if you think I'm being audacious with the way that I'm talking about some of these things that people love, what's this category? Cinematic and box office achievement goes to Barbie. Fine. But what's the criteria? What's the metrics for this? Cinematic and box office achievement. Do you have to make money? Because somebody said, I think it was Harloff that said, well, Mission Impossible didn't even make money. If it did, it barely broke even. So what are you talking about? Box office achievement. Oppenheimer was a box office achievement, and I think it was a cinematic achievement, but it won for Best Picture, so they're not going to give it twice then. So then why did you even nominate it for this, right? I don't understand. What are the rules and metrics? And I know that some people out there will say Taylor Swift, the Eras Tour doesn't, like, what are you doing with that one too? But no, at least that was a cinematic achievement because of the way that it was handled, right? It was kind of like she never went to any of the distribution studios, and she went straight to AMC or something in the States, right? And said, okay, here's the deal. I'm going to charge $19.89 per ticket because she likes those numbers, and I'm going to keep most of the revenue myself. You guys will be able to show it, and you'll be able to keep a percentage, but we're not going to go through another third party here. It's straight you and me doing business. That's an achievement. That I can understand. Super Mario, yeah, that was the biggest earner of the year, so that deserves to be there. But all the other ones is kind of like, well, what are they doing there, right? And I think that one should be limited to. Like, give me the reasons why. Why does John Wick, as much as, hey, John Wick Chapter 4 was in my top 5, right? Why is that on there? I don't understand. Best Motion Picture, non-English language, Anatomy of a Fall. This is just another case that I got to see Anatomy of a Fall. And it's going to suck because probably when I see it, it will disrupt my rankings of the top 10, but whatever. It's been hard to track down a copy of. Society of Snow, we just watched that actually. That was nominated for Best Picture for non-English. By the way, people are chastising me. Just watch the subtitle version, James. You're not doing a service to the original actors. No, we toggled back and forth when we watched that. I saw that the Spanish language was just ADR as well. And if you don't know what ADR is, that's after dialogue replacement kind of stuff. So it's kind of like, fine, whatever. Anyway, Anatomy of a Fall, another case I need to see it. Best Motion Picture by a male actor in a motion picture went to Cillian Murphy for Oppenheimer. Yeah, I don't see anybody else giving him a run for his money. As I said, Bradley Cooper, the way that he was talking took me out of the film too much. Leonardo DiCaprio gave a nice, like, solid performance, but there was nothing in it that made me go, wow. I never saw Rustin with Coleman Domingo. Barry Keoghan, there's a couple of scenes in there where you will go, wow, but it's not because of what he does with his face or emoting or line delivery. It's more kind of like, what's he doing to the ground? Why is he licking that bathtub? That kind of thing, right? And I never saw All of Us Strangers, so I don't know anything about that. Best performance by a female actor in a motion picture, Lily Gladstone. Now, I think most people think that one's going to be a given for the Oscars. But somebody's been making a good case out there that she pretty much disappears for the last half of the movie because she gets drugged. And yes, she's good for the first start of it. But Carey Mulligan in Maestro is also solid. But you know who is also going to be, like, let's just take a look at the female here for in a musical or comedy. You got Emma Stone there. I don't think Barbie's going to get, Margot is going to get it for Oscar. So I think Emma Stone's going to be nominated for Oscar. I think Natalie Portman may be nominated for Oscar. It's possible Fantasia Barrino will be nominated for for Oscar. Carey Mulligan definitely will be nominated for Oscar, and Lily Gladstone. And then, you know what? I would even take out Natalie Portman and maybe put in this Sandra Huller, because I hear great things about Anatomy of a Fall. So if it's Lily Gladstone, Sandra Huller, Carey Mulligan, Emma Stone, yeah. And then maybe Fantasia Barrino. Who knows? Or Natalie Portman. I think it's going to be that. But I think it's going to be down between Emma Stone and Lily Gladstone. And Emma Stone just gave a much better performance overall. There's multiple points within Poor Things where you're like, holy crap, Emma Stone, this is the performance of her career. This is, wow. My God. I can't believe what I'm seeing from her. She's really doing that? Oh, and then there's a couple of scenes where she's just talking with Willem Dafoe. And it's fantastic. I think that's my favorite performance of the year from anybody. Cillian Murphy was great, but I think Emma Stone does so much better. Best performance by a male actor in a motion picture, musical, or comedy goes to Paul Giamatti for The Holdovers. He'll be nominated, for sure. I think Jeffrey Wright for American Fiction will get nominated. I think Cillian Murphy is going to be the shoe-in, though. And then I think Leo out of Gratitude. And then I'd like to see Barry Keoghan. I think that'd be great. I don't know. We'll have to see. Paul Giamatti was good, though. He was good. He's the reason to go see The Holdovers. I know, who's the other one? Joy Divine Brown or whatever. She's also really good. So, good acting overall. Best performance by a male actor in supporting role for any motion picture. Robert Downey Jr. takes it for Oppenheimer. Yes. Willem Dafoe was also good in Poor Things. Ryan Gosling for Barbie, I think, was up there. Mark Ruffalo for Poor Things. See, when I came out of Poor Things and I said the acting is so stellar, like Mark Ruffalo, yeah. Charles Melton was good in May, December, but no. He's not even holding a candle next to Mark Ruffalo or Willem Dafoe. And let alone Robert Downey Jr., because I said this multiple times leading up to the award season here. There's multiple times in Oppenheimer where Robert Downey Jr. transforms and he does things where you're like, oh, I really don't like you anymore, dude. But then you're just realizing, oh, that's because you're a good actor. That's because you're really doing a good job here. And that's good. And I would like to see that carry over as an Oscar, because I think it's going to be Gosling or Melton that gets chopped out of this one for a supporting role. Best female supporting role in any motion picture, Divine Joy Randolph for The Holdovers. Do I complain about that one? No, I don't got anything else. Emily Blunt for Oppenheimer is also good. Julianne Moore, May, December. She plays, yeah, she was pretty good in that too. Best director, motion picture, Christopher Nolan, Oppenheimer. I think that's a lock too. Scorsese's like a gratuity nomination. The other one that could give it a run for its money will be Yorgos Lanthimos and Greta Gerwig, oddly enough. It'll be down between those three. But I think Nolan this will be his first Oscar, and it's deserved. But Yorgos did also such a great job with Poor Things, and you can't knock what Greta did with Barbie. That movie had no, like, I'd say would have no business, but yeah, it had business being that good. It was like the script was just wow. Best screenplay, motion picture goes to Anatomy of a Fall. Okay, not Nolan's Oppenheimer, not Tony McNair for Poor Things, or Barbie for Anatomy of a Fall. That'll be curious to see how that plays out when we get the nominations for the Oscars. Best original song. Guys, I don't really care about this stuff because it's kind of like the songs show up at the end during the credits and that's enough to win best original song. I don't, when that happens, and it happened for Barbie when Billie Eilish did that, right? It's like, why was not Just Ken? And why is Peaches is there? Because at least I'm Just Ken is there. I don't know why the Billie Eilish song won. because I would have given it to Peaches or I'm Just Ken. Everybody, how could you not give it to I'm Just Ken, who's just had those remixes come out? Come on. Best original score went to Oppenheimer. Yeah. Poor Things also had a good soundtrack, but you heard in my review for it, it's not a soundtrack that you want to sit down and listen to. It's a soundtrack that complements the movie. Now, Oppenheimer does have some tracks in there where you're kind of like, I could put that down in the background and just listen to it. Why not? Yeah. Best television series, Succession. This is just all Succession. What is that? Yeah, The Bear. Abbott Elementary. That, yeah, it'll be all those ones. Yeah, so the TV stuff I don't really watch. I didn't have any stake in the TV stuff side of things. I'm sorry. Um, yeah. So there's some of the red carpet stuff that I still haven't perused all the way through. I do want to watch it. Whoops. That's a story that we'll talk about later. But the Golden Globes were well received overall, guys. Jumps 50% with CBS Switch. Now, that's because it was off for a couple of years, so people were like, what is this again? I need to remind myself. And then they got, well, hit over the head with this guy's poor performance. I feel like I don't know that much about him, so it's kind of like if he was trying to be funny and the jokes didn't land. I heard that he was trying to be like sardonic, kind of like, and it just didn't work. Yeah. So that sucks when that happens, but it happens. 3 of the best hair looks at the 2024 Golden Globes, from Florence Pugh's Cool Quiff to Dame Helen Mirren's Grecian Goddess Ponytail. Cool Quiff, huh? Is that what you call that for Florence Pugh right there? Oh God, Helen Mirren's always stunning, isn't she? Cool Girl Quiff. Huh? Next, America Ferrera's Lived in Bob. I do like her speech in Barbie, guys. I'm sorry. I'm somebody who likes it. Next, Helen Mirren, Glossy Locks. Yeah. Stunning. Is that it? Is that it for that? Are we almost done the Golden Globes, James? No. The host, Joe Coy, is deflated over the monologue criticism. Taylor Swift's reaction. Yes, let's address that now. He joked about my Tay-Tay. Our Tay-Tay. Let me say it like that. Yeah. He says, he responds to the bad reviews. He says, I had fun, you know. It was a moment that I'll always remember. Yeah, but not for the best of things. It's a tough room. It was a hard job. I'm not going to lie. I'd be lying. Why is it tough? Tell me. Is it because you're following the old format of that I gotta have a monologue. I gotta joke. I gotta make fun of people in a way that's not too condescending. Why? That's what everybody does. Do something different. How about just come out and talk normally? And you don't have to bring in politics or anything like that. Do it sort of like the way that I did it with talking about Spider-Man. Do it something like that. Although that'll probably rub people the wrong way, James, just the way that your Spider-Man thing just did. But whatever. Coy acknowledges Taylor Swift joke fell a little flat. Yeah, I saw the joke, guys. It was basically, he was like, how is the Golden Globes different than a football game? There's not enough shots of Taylor Swift at the Golden Globes or something. It was just, it was not really fun. I was worried at first that it would be something, a little condescending, but I thought it was like, meh. She looks stunning in the green. So I had no problem with that. Yeah. She didn't really react. I don't even think she really heard it. So it's kind of like, yeah, it is what it is. So, all right. That's it for the Golden Globes, guys. let's move on to the weekend's box office report because it is Monday, so we've got some things to go through. And hey, if you like this kind of stuff, yes, normally we are on at 10:30 a.m. in the mornings, but don't worry. It's been kind of a weird schedule for me for the next couple of weeks, so it may be in the evenings, but I still will put out content on a daily basis. Don't worry about that. What kind of content can you find? We just did a full live movie reaction for Society of the Snow, which I actually kind of liked. It's kind of like a retelling of the events of that plane crash movie from the 90s called Alive. You know, about the rugby team that crashes in the mountains and they have to resort to cannibalism. Ooh, yeah. Uh, we watched that. It's on Netflix. It was just nominated for a Golden Globe, so go check that out. And of course, then my best and worst list of 2023 is still up on the channel, guys. If you want to see my where I ranked all of those movies, and my best horror movies is up there. Movie reviews for Ferrari, The Iron Claw, Aquaman, and The Lost Kingdom. Poor Things is still up, and Wonka, oddly enough. We just watched episode 12 of Hell's Kitchen last Friday, guys. Come join us this Friday around 6 p.m., 6:30 p.m.-ish to watch Hell's Kitchen episode 13. And of course, then, you know, we do movie news throughout the week here, where we talk about all the trending movie headlines of the day. Movie news headlines. Ooh, yeah. Let's talk about the weekend's box office report, because it's Monday. And let's see where the chips fell for the first weekend of 2024. For the weekend of January 5th to the 7th. The top 5 went like this. Number 1 was Wonka. Number 2 was Night Swim. Number 3 was Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Number 4 was Migration. And number 5 was Anyone But You. Now, Night Swim was the only big movie opening up this week, but retaining the number 1 spot for the 4th week in a row? Ooh, my God. Wonka is 467 million. It's quietly, guys, made some serious bank. And I'm not complaining because I like that movie. I thought it was quite charming. And I think it's going to stand up to the test of time. Yeah. And I want to see a sequel. And I want to see, you know, Wonka and the Oompa Loompa create the chocolate factory. And then I want to see him get a little bit disenchanted with it all. And then the second movie should start with him looking for Charlie, his successor, right? That's the way I think it should go. Because it was just a lot of fun. It was harmless. Number 1 spot, Wonka, a huge success. Not so much of a success, at least critic-wise, was Night Swim in the second spot with 11.7 million domestically. 17 worldwide. A woman swimming in her pool at night is terrorized by an evil spirit. Well, that's not the great synopsis. Guys, I was going to do a formal review for this. I don't think I will in hindsight. I'll just leave my little shorts review up for it. But we don't need to have a big critical analysis for every movie, I think. Not many people are watching those anyway. So I'll just kind of recap what I've said in my shorts review for Night Swim. This is a terrible synopsis. Night Swim. Basically, here's what you need to know. There's this pool. It's got some kind of spirit of some kind in it, you think, maybe? Or is it the water itself? Well, I think it's the water itself. I've seen the movie, and I can't tell you exactly what it is. It's the water. But you just don't know what the powers of the water are. Do you have to be touching the water? Does it follow you? Well, it looks like it sort of follows you, but can it control you? Well, it can, but not totally. Who knows exactly what's going on? Who's the main character of this movie? It's about a family that moves into the house, and they have people over, and they have fun and stuff like that. At times, you think it's the father's the main character. At times, you think it's the mother. At times, you think it's the daughter. So you kind of get confused as to who you're rooting for. Now, I will say this about the cast. I like the cast of this movie, because it had Wyatt Russell, Kurt Russell's son, which was good. Carrie Condon was also really good in this as the mother. Carrie Condon, if you don't know who that was, she was in Banshees of Inisherin. So when she was playing the mother in this, I was like, cool. Yeah, she's doing a great job. I want to see more of that. It's just the script sucked. I mean, it sucked. Emily Holferley was the older daughter. Ah, guys, um, I'm just speechless with how terrible this movie was. Because it sucks. I'm somebody who gives a lot of free passes to bad horror movies. We all do at sometimes, right? That's why The Terrifier is so successful. But this was just kind of like nonsensical, kind of like, dude, this director is way out of his depths. You see what I did there? Yeah. Ooh, that's a very pregnant woman there. Who is that? Is that Wyatt Russell's wife? She's ready to burst. My God. Yeah. Any day now, it would seem. And I like that he's rocking it without any belt. Is he wearing suspenders with those? That's the way I want to go. I'm thinking about going suspenders. Anyway, yeah, it wasn't well received by critics and the audience. 25% by critics, 44% by the audience. It's just kind of like, what's at the end of the day, you're kind of like, well, what's this movie trying to say? James, does the Terrifier movies have to say anything? Does Winnie the Pooh and Blood and Honey have to say anything? No, but it has to be cohesive. You got to be somewhat scared of what the bad guys can do. And in this, the bad guy is just water. So it's kind of like, it's not that scary. It's not scary. So it's kind of like, what are you doing? Let's take a look at some of the snapshot reviews from the LA Times. McGuire, who executed a trial run of this concept with a 2014 short film, knows exactly what he's doing, scene after scene, especially when it comes to the deliciously sadistic grammar of suspense. I don't think you've watched a whole lot of movies, are you? Have you, Joshua Rothkopf? Movie freak, okay? Didn't like it. There comes a point where it almost feels as if McGuire was making it up as he went along. So little of this thriller makes sense as it's impossible for it to generate a lasting emotional impact. And it tries to feel like it was trying to have an emotional impact. And yes, the climax should have been a big climactic thing. It just wasn't built up. It wasn't foreshadowed. It was just, it felt like, oh, a high school play. Let's wrap things up in a nice little bow here. And it was like The Gallows. If you watch the horror movie The Gallows, that's exactly sort of what the ending of Night Swim was. So, guys, you know how I feel about it. Worst movie of the year, and it's going to stay as one of the worst movies of the year for a little while here, I think. Who knows? The Beekeeper opens up this week, guys, and Jason Statham actioner. It's got to be better than this, right? Yeah, they go underwater. It's kind of like, well, how deep does water go? Are they even underwater? Are they hallucinating? It's like, who knows? Are they ghosts under there? No, they're not really ghosts. They're kind of like weird. I don't know. It's like, what are you doing? But James, you just weren't paying attention. It's supposed to be like Black Phone, but it's with a swimming pool. But no, it's not really like that either. So what are you doing? Anyway, Night Swim. Second spot, 17 million worldwide on a budget of 15 million. Again, this is one of the benefits of having a smaller budget, but it'll make profit. But this is going to that whole thing of failing upwards in Hollywood, failing upwards. Sometimes it's the brand that will save you. Looking at you, David Gordon Green, the brand recognition with Halloween or Exorcist, or just the genre itself. When you make something for a modest budget of $7 to $15 million and it's a horror, you're going to get people's eyes on it, even though this movie doesn't deserve people's eyes on it because it's atrocious. All right, enough of it. Let's move on. Aquaman in the Lost Kingdom in the third spot made 10 million. That's cool. And this is something that a lot of people are not going to be wanting to say because they want to paint it as a box office bomb. But Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom had around a $240 million budget, plus marketing. So let's say that's $336 million. Now, you got to account for what the percentages of what the theaters are going to take. That's pretty much all it has to make back. So it's got to get to around the $400 million mark to break even, I would say. It's slowly getting there. I don't think it's going to get there, but it's not going to be a smash, like complete box office failure. Percentage-wise, I think it's done better than Killers of the Flower Moon. When you look at the percentages and the ratios, Killers of the Flower Moon didn't even make its production budget back. This has, right? Oh, mercy. But James, Killers of the Flower Moon was always meant for streaming. It was never meant for the theatrical release. Don't give me that BS. Don't give me that BS. We're movie fans here. We don't try to gaslight each other with BS like that. Next, Migration. Cool. Anyone But You, hanging on to the 5th spot. This is that rom-com with Glenn Powell and Sydney Sweeney. 58 million for a rom-com. People were just saying that rom-coms are dead. Nobody wants to go see a romantic comedy anymore. Well, Anyone But You would say otherwise. And good for them. 58 million worldwide. Good for them. This is almost like a slap on the wrist, James, of saying you should have gone to see this movie. And I may still sneak out maybe tomorrow to go see a late night screening of this. Because it's Cheap Tuesday tomorrow. For $7. Why not? Go see Anyone But You. I'll sneak in. Yeah. Kudos. Hanging in their 5th spot. But it's not going to be in the 5th spot next week. Because next week we have, well, The Beekeeper opening up with Jason Statham. And then we also have the Mean Girls musical. And I think that Mean Girls musical will be number 1. Then Beekeeper. Then Wonka. And then I think Aquaman will be number 4. And Night Swim. No, I think Migration will be 5. Night Swim will be out of the top 5. Because it just that word of mouth, as I said, they know they've said their piece. It's a stinker. So there we go. Enough dunking on Night Swim, James. That is what it is. Mayhem had 24 theaters show it. I don't know what Mayhem is. But just at a cursory glance here, guys, just a quick oversight of the weekend's box office for the first weekend of 2024. Interesting stuff. Let's talk about Scorsese. Martin Scorsese was nominated for director? Wait, was he? James, can you confirm that again, please? Yes, he was for the Golden Globe. He was nominated. But that's just a token nomination, right? He's going to be working on his next movie about Jesus. Will be shot in 2024 with an approximate runtime revealed. Oh, God, Jesus. Let me, it's going to be like 6 hours and 38 minutes or something, right? For God's sakes, Martin, learn how to make a movie, for God's sakes. Movies aren't supposed to be like 4 hours. You know that, right? You know that. If it's 4 hours, just make 2 movies. What are you doing? Anyway, yes, Killers of the Flower Moon probably would have been better if it was split up into 2 parts. Because you could have focused the drama a little bit more. You would have had to reshape the story, but I think it would have been better. Or you just cut out a whole bunch of the middle stuff and just tell something more concise, which I hope this movie is going to be. Do I get my wish? Do I get my wish, please? Oh, yeah, I do. Oh, my God. Scorsese says he intends the movie to be around 80 minutes. Well, that's 80 minutes. That's under 90 minutes. That's an hour and 20 minutes. My God, Martin. I didn't think you could be that conventional. Are you sure you'll be able to do that? I hope you can. I'm going to hold you to it. LA Times, it will largely be set in present day and focusing on Jesus' core teachings in a way that explores the principles but doesn't proselytize. I'm trying a new way to make it more accessible and take away negative onus on what has been associated with organized religion. Okay, well, I'm somewhat intrigued by that if it takes place in present day. it's a kind of film, but it wouldn't be a straight narrative. It wouldn't be documentary. It would be a combination of things, he said at the time. I think it may have to go back to Shosaku Endo and his Life of Jesus, which I found to be very interesting because it takes Jesus as a figure of thinking and a question of Jesus from a point of view that's not Western. Well, make the skin color appropriate. That'll make so many people angry. Because he wasn't Caucasian, right? That'll make a lot of people angry. Goodfellas is a good movie, but it's not great. Ooh, what are you talking about, Light? I like Goodfellas. What are you doing? Why is that a comment? So, Jesus, 80 minutes. Ooh, from Scorsese. Now you've got me intrigued. I was ready to pull my hair out thinking that it was going to be like a 6-hour kind of like, for God's sakes, I'm not sitting in the theater for 6 hours, Martin Scorsese. I'm glad that you're starting to take a little bit of the criticisms about runtime to heart, because it needs to happen in Hollywood. These 3-hour things have to stop. These 2.5-hour things have to stop, for God's sakes. All right, let's go on to James Gunn's Superman, which is going to be about 2 hours and 45 minutes. Fans wonder if David Corenswet can fly after James Gunn's, well, he misspeaks on Superman Legacy's practical effects. Misunderstanding on James Gunn's post. Only being practical effects. So people think, well, practical, that means you're not going to have him fly? Well, Superman, guys, that doesn't mean a whole lot of others. Like, that just means that you're not fully understanding how some of the effects back then worked. Like, you would have to do things where, yeah, it's practical, but it's like a marriage of the two kind of thing, right? Like, look at this. This is practical. Like, look at that. He's in that one shot there, right? He's obviously on wires, and he's floating there, right? But it's just a mixture of the cutting and editing, right? That make it mixed now with a special effects shot. Well, it's all special effects, James. You're not classifying it properly. Well, with a shot kind of layered on top of another one, right? So, hey, they've been doing it for the older Superman movies. And by the way, I know a lot of people make fun of this Superman movie, but this scene alone makes this movie worth watching. This when he fights like Clark Kent. This movie, there's parts in this fight that really creeped me out as a kid, man. Yeah, the part of him getting stuck in the trash compactor here and getting squished. Ooh, yeah. Anyway, I'm digressing. Let's get back to James Gunn's Superman. Because that's where people want to be talking about. They don't want to go reminisce about a movie that very few people actually liked. Legacy is only practical effects. What? So he won't be fighting, he won't be flying in, I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, that does, I can see why people would get confused by that, because how are you going to have him flying and picking up like big buildings or picking up spaceships or airplanes? What? Or fighting like another enhanced being? How are you going to do that then? And while it couldn't have been entirely unexpected for the followers to call him out, couldn't have hurt on his resume. So James Gunn filming the flying scenes in Superman Legacy. It looks like they got a clip from The Boys there. Can't play that. Is only practical effects. Legacy is only practical effects. So I don't. Sorry, I misunderstood the question. Yes, we have tons of practical effects like I have in other films. But of course, it's flying. And they've made the flying techniques a whole lot better. Like so much better back from this day and age. It's the marriage of CGI and stuff. It works. Let's see if I can give you a good example of that. Um, no, no, that's not what I wanted to see. Okay, so here we go. Here's a good one. All right. So there she was floating with her harness, and then she went CGI for this. But like this kind of stuff, the way that they do this now is that she is, if you've seen it, she's there, but there's kind of like a big kind of uh, green thing, wheel kind of thing that she rests in um, with a harness to get this kind of an effect. Which I think this stuff looks all fantastic because you can get really close in on them, right? Um, and then it transitions from that, like that's CG until the real version. So that bled fairly well into each other. So the flying techniques have come along. So I don't worry about that. I don't think it's just when they start fighting. I don't see how could you not have this be CG stuff like like this, right? Like, how could that not be CG? How do you do that as a practical thing for Superman, right? I'm just using the Flash stuff here as examples of what I'm trying to talk about, but you guys you understand what I'm talking about, right? So maybe, yeah, I agree with that. Gunn just didn't understand the question. All practical effects. Well, what do you mean? Are you sure? Are you sure? Oh, yeah. Next, Stranger Things season 5, guys. Stranger Things is one of my favorite series, and we had a lot of fun watching season 4 here. But season 5 production officially begins. The final season with a large red S or large 5. Sorry, not 5S. So there they are. It looks like they're having a table reading of maybe the pilot episode or the season. Who knows? It's going to be the same as season 4, guys. It'll be like the first 7 episodes will come out in one big batch, and then the last 2 final episodes will come out like a month later. There's Millie right there. You can see her on the sofa. There's Natalia Dyer. She's awesome. I want to see a lot more work from her. Finn Wolfhard, whatever. He's going to be seen next in Ghostbusters, Frozen Empire. Sadie Sink, yes. Really want to see more from Sadie Sink. So that's cool. That's underway. We kind of knew that a while ago when David Harbour came out and said that, yeah, they're going to be starting to shoot that soon. And we got confirmation right there. What's Frank Darabont doing there? In talks to direct Stranger Things final season episodes. Oh, that'd be kind of cool, huh? Frank Darabont. You guys may not know him that well, but if he did the Shawshank Redemption and the Green Mile, which got a lot of praise, and he did the Mist, which I really liked. And then, of course, he started the Walking Dead, right? That got taken away from him and became something else. And my God, we don't need to go down that rabbit hole. But Darabont coming back to this kind of a thing, cool. That would be good in my book. I'll be looking forward to that. Keeping on with the TV stuff. You know how much I feel about Picard and Star Trek: The Next Generation, guys. It's one of my favorite series of all time. One of my favorite captains of all time, characters. Patrick Stewart reveals that a Star Trek Picard movie is being written. No, it's not being greenlit for actual production yet, guys, but there's a script being written. He said this at the end of season 3, which I think is a masterpiece. Picard season 3 is just like, for all the Star Trek fans out there, Next Generation fans, go see Picard season 3. You will be kind of like, you're gonna such a huge smile on your face thinking about all the things they've done, because they pay respects to people who have seen the series. People who saw the series wrote episodes for it, and were like, cool, man. So it's kind of like, yes, that's what happens. And it's not, yes, some of it could be classified as fan service, but most of it is just kind of like, thank you for appreciating the fan base that made it popular in the first place, instead of telling us that, no, this Star Trek has to be totally different and going in a different direction, and it's got to be about empowerment, and it's got to be about inclusion, and no, that's not what's... just make a good story first, and that's what Picard Season 3 was. And if there was going to be a movie, I don't know if it's necessary, because Picard Season 3 ended in a way that I didn't think that was possible. Because if you ever watch Star Trek The Next Generation, All Good Things is like the perfect way to end a series. They couldn't possibly do that again for Star Trek Picard, but somehow they managed to. So it's kind of like, to wrap up all of the characters from TNG, Picard himself, and the new characters that Picard introduced, to end out in a finale like that. How do you, like, what more could you possibly do? Would you be undoing it by putting out a Picard movie? That's what I would be worried about, because there wouldn't be really any other big adventures to go on. It'd be kind of, you'd have to go back to what they were originally pitching for the Picard series, of like old Picard on the vineyard trying to make sense of his life after all big things have happened, and now you're just left quietly waiting for your time to run out, right? We'll have to see. It's possible. So he said that on a Happy, Sad, Confused podcast, that it was being written with him in mind once more as the iconic captain. Quote, I heard only last night about a script that is being written with the actor Patrick to play as Picard, as Stewart revealed. I've been told to expect it within a week or so. I'm so excited because it sounds like the kind of project where the experimentation that I wanted to do will be essential for this kind of material. Well, we'll have to see. And I hope that this universe is not done, because Picard was basically the only series that was pushing it forward. All of the other Star Trek stuff happens in the alternate timeline, or, you know, happens in the past. I want to see what happens when you move this universe forward. And Picard was at least moving it forward. And I would love to see a Captain 7 of 9 series. Please do that. All right. That's all I got to say about that. Let's move on to the next story of Paul Giamatti. Golden Globe winner, Paul Giamatti. Paul Giamatti wants more horror in his career. Calls the Texas Chainsaw Massacre a beautiful movie. Well, it is a good movie. It's haunting. It's repulsive. It's a cult classic for a reason. Beautiful is not a word that I would associate with it, though. It is, it's iconic, right? But Paul Giamatti in more horror, what could he do? Why not? Look at horror scripts then, man. There's tons of horror stuff. And it doesn't have to be stuff like Night Swim. Oh, I'm not going to stop knocking on it. I'm sorry. But there's stuff like Frankenstein coming out. There's stuff like work with Del Toro then. Like, why weren't you raising your hand to be like Dr. Frankenstein in Del Toro's upcoming Frankenstein movie? Do stuff like that. If you want straight up horror, I'm going to throw an oddball choice out here, guys. Scream 7. Paul Giamatti. You take it over from a different... It doesn't necessarily have to be about youth or kids. What if he's Stu Macher's father? And now he wants revenge. And he's so embittered about all of these copycat killer kind of things that he wants to try to scorch it all. He's out for revenge after everybody. Paul Giamatti, Scream 7, the father of Stu Macher, right there. Why not? Give it to us. Yes. But yeah, why not? He's a fantastic actor, brilliant actor. He could do anything. He transforms. He was the Rhino, for God's sakes. So yeah. You know what? You know who else he'd also be good as? If they ever remade Jaws, maybe him as Quint. I know people would like to see him as maybe Hooper. Could he play Quint? Just some ideas. I'd like to see something from that. That headline caught me. Let's continue on with the horror headlines because Five Nights at Freddy's 2, that's a no-brainer, right? Five Nights at Freddy 2, Josh Hutcherson confirms sequel is in the works, according to The Star. Speaking to Variety, confirmed that the sequel was a go, but it's still in early days of production. Well, yeah, because it made enough money, right? Jen texted me when Freddy's came out. Hutcherson recalled. She was like, movie's #1 on Netflix and is #1 at the box office. I was like, well, Five Nights at Freddy's wasn't on Netflix, Jen. I hate to tell you that. Jennifer Lawrence. Is that who she texted? Five Nights at Freddy's was on Prime? Or was it Peacock? Anyway, we're going to see Josh Hutcherson next in this week's Beekeeper movie with Jason Statham. But that's a no-brainer. Five Nights at Freddy's, Part 2. Script coming along. I should have put this story next to the Paul Giamatti one. Continuing on with horror. Jacob Elordi is going to be in Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein movie, replacing Andrew Garfield. No! So Andrew Garfield was going to be the monster. Oh, God, I would have loved to have seen that. Why? Is it scheduling? Now, guys, I like Jacob Elordi as Elvis, and I liked him in Saltburn. But I was really curious to see what Andrew Garfield was going to do as the Frankenstein monster, because everybody thought, no, Garfield's going to be the Dr. Frankenstein, and Oscar Isaac's going to be the monster. But now Jacob Elordi's going to be the monster, and we now confirmed that Andrew Garfield was going to be the monster. I wanted to see that movie with Guillermo del Toro directing. Oh, that would have been so awesome to see. But, well, I still trust del Toro. Jacob Elordi is a good actor. I have to see how it goes. Just my excitement level is just taken down just a notch. That'll all go away once we see the trailers and we see him in the makeup and see the vision that del Toro is going to bring. He'll be a good replacement. It's just for me, because I'm a bigger fan of Andrew Garfield, to see him to take on such a different role. And just like what Paul Giamatti was saying, he wants to do more horror. He wants to try to expand and push his boundaries. We would have definitely gotten that with Andrew Garfield, of him pushing his boundaries. I wanted to see that. But Jacob Elordi, I think, will be fine. He'll be fine. Let's get some reasons. Oscar Isaac is set to play the Dr. Frankenstein. Mia Goth will be potentially the bride. Mia Goth, yes, of X. We're going to see her next in Maxine. Looking forward to that. Just overall, guys. Just overall, we're looking. This movie was supposed to start production this year. I thought it was supposed to come out this year, but it's more looking like 2025 is where we're going to get del Toro's Frankenstein movie. But if they're recasting, that means that they're got to be ramping up for production soon. All right, guys, we're at 54 minutes here. We're running a little bit late here. Let's go on to some hit or miss. If it's a hit, we'll talk about it. If it's a miss, we'll move on. David F. Sandberg is returning to horror with a feature expansion of 2 of his short films. Sandberg did Lights Out and Annabelle Creation. Of course, he did the 2 Shazam movies as well, which, well, the second one bombed at the box office and was one of the biggest blunders of last year, which sucks because I didn't hate it, but it deserved a better fate. Okay, so unfortunately, a Lights Out sequel fell by the wayside in the meantime. Sandberg recently confirmed that Collider he'll be returning to the horror genre for his next feature, based on his 2 short films. Okay, cool. He's developing. We're working on that, actually. That's all I can say, which is short films that he had done before, but it's actually 2. I'm definitely doing horror next. I'm very eager to get back to that because it feels like I have so much more to do. Hey, still looking pretty sharp there in the tux there, man. Next. Yeah. You guys know how I feel about the RoboCop reboot. They just didn't quite understand the property. Ooh, it's all about the horror of this guy being, well, put into a robot. No, that's not what. Yeah, that was part of it. But they didn't create the bad guys around him, right? You heard me go over this over and over again. And you got to create villains that you hate, but are also entertaining to watch, like a Clarence Bodiger and his crew, right? They don't. They didn't do that for the remake, and they didn't do that for, by the sounds of it, for the Crow remake either. And then you try to change it up by, well, let's make it a black suit. Whatever. And the Total Recall remake, but the book wasn't on Mars, James, wasn't it? I thought. Why did you change it to Earth? You got such a good cast with Colin Farrell, Kate Beckinsale, Bryan Cranston, and you failed at making the Total Recall. Yeah, it sucks. Of course, Verhoeven's movies are superior on almost every level, and I would side with him. He says, "quote There, problem I felt was that he was really aware that he lost all of his legs and arms. He knows it from the very beginning. The beautiful thing about the original RoboCop, what makes it not just pure tragedy or whatever, is that he really does not know anymore. He gets a couple of vague flashes of memory when he goes to his old house, but RoboCop is not a tragic figure. He's kind of killed in the most horrible way in the beginning, but when we see him again as a robot, he doesn't feel that. In the new one, because he remembers everything, he's much more tragic. We wanted you to accept him at the beginning as a robotic cop. That's why they did it to him. In my opinion, I thought it was a problem to make it more tragic. Yeah, because what really, yeah, the original really wasn't about, like, that's what happened. That was kind of like the fallout of it, and that's what I think a lot of people wanted to see more explored. But it was kind of like there was a corporate battle going on there too, with uh, the second in command at OCP and the younger executives jockeying for position. Right? There's the original RoboCop was incredibly detailed. Then you had all the stuff going on with crime in the background with Clarence Bodiger, Ed 209. It was just like, it was so layered. It was surprisingly layered. And that's why it still resonates and champions today. You watch people's reactions to it and they're like, I can't believe that this movie's so good. They achieved this back then? Yes. And that's thanks to Verhoeven and his directing of understanding the material. So let's see what he said about Total Recall. I felt it had a lot of special effects, but this mystery, is it true or not true? I didn't feel that anymore. The interesting thing about the original movie is that at the end, when Rachel Ticotin says, well, kiss me quick before you wake up. Yeah, that was the cool thing about Total Recall with Arnold, was that when he goes to the facility in the beginning, he's like listening in the background. You hear things like blue sky on Mars, and some of the imagery that you see is stuff from his implants, or is it his implants? There's some doubt there, right? And the girl that he creates, his fantasy girl, is Rachel Ticotin, right? So it's kind of like it's open for interpretation there, where it's kind of like it's all in his head, isn't it? Isn't it? We don't know. That's what I kind of liked about it. But it was also really crass and over the top and full of Arnie one-liners, and I love Total Recall. It was a lot of fun. That's why we watched it here on the channel, right? We did watch that one, right? Yeah, we did. We had lots of fun with that one. 11 months ago, yeah. Yeah. All right. So that was a hit. Is that it for today, James? Are we done with hit or miss? No, we're not. Nobody 2. Connie Nielsen confirms Bob Odenkirk's sequel is still in the works. This just means that I need to watch Nobody. And it is on Netflix right now, so maybe we could set up a watch-along party for this, guys, for Nobody. Because I haven't seen it. James, you call yourself a cinephile? You call yourself a movie fan and you haven't seen Nobody? I know, it's just sometimes it's... Guys, I saw a lot of movies. I'm sorry. Yeah, we're doing it. We can't tell you anything about it yet, she says, while talking with comicbook.com. All right. Well, if it happens, if it materializes, we'll watch it. And finally, Gerard Butler reprising How to Train Your Dragon role for live action remake. He joins new stars Mason Thames and Nico Parker. So he's going to be playing the father role properly. That's cool. I dig that. I just don't know how the dragon's going to look and if it's going to have that same kind of charm. Because actually, oddly enough, How to Train Your Dragon, some of the appeal to me was the animation. And you're dealing with dragons. At what point do the dragons become too scary for younger kids, right? You kind of have to make them soft around the edges. You can't have Game of Thrones dragon in this movie, right? But it's cool that Gerard Butler's going to be there, so I'm on board with that. Thumbs up. Thumbs up. Thumbs up, I say. Is that it? No, it's not. The Marvel's deleted scene. The trio visits planet Aladna. Guys, it's coming to 4K and Blu-ray soon. And when I heard this, 4K, should I own the Marvels on 4K? You didn't like the movie that much, did you, James? Right? I find it oddly weird that I might actually buy that in 4K. We'll have to see. Maybe Chris Schober, when he finally gets his hands on it or sees it, give us a review of it on his TikTok. Chris Schober's TikTok, guys. Go check that out. There's a lot of, these Blu-ray haul videos, right? Cool stuff. Next. Is that it? That's finally it, guys. That's it. Margot Robbie at the Golden Globes. For God's sakes. Yes, I think she's my number 5 favorite actress. I'll watch her in she's fantastic. I'll watch her in anything. I'll watch her in anything. Harrison Dickinson and Jeremy Allen White behind the scenes in Iron Claw. Doing some grappling. Yeah, my older brother was into wrestling. I tried it for a little bit, but it's not like actual Greco-Roman style wrestling. That kind of like Olympic style wrestling. Not that type of wrestling, but whatever. Barry Keoghan and Joaquin Phoenix at 2024 Golden Globes. Cool. Yeah, you know what's cool about this? 2 Jokers. They're both Jokers. He's Joker in Matt Reeves' Batman, and he's Joker in Todd Phillips. 2 Jokers. The Joker brothers, somebody says here. Yeah. Cool stuff. The trailer for One Day is out now on Netflix. Josh Hutcherson confirms that Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Yeah, we talked about that. Josh Hutcherson reveals Jennifer Lawrence texted him about the success of Five Nights at Freddy's. Well, you guys know that Jennifer Lawrence is my second favorite actress of all time. I'll watch her in everything and anything. Stranger Things Season 5, we talked about it. Looks like we've hit all the big new movie news stories of the day, guys. Emily Blunt. Give that the old heart. Stunning as always. Very stunning. Wow. Greta Lee. Margot Robbie at the after party. Fantasia. Hunter Schafer. Coleman Domingo rocking the tash. Wow. So is he going to be our new Kang? I think he is. He's going to be our Kang, and I got no problem with that. As long as they make him villainous. Make me afraid of you, dude. And Coleman Domingo can do that. Jacob Elordi now playing Frankenstein's monster. Yeah, we saw that. All right, guys. I'm running over time, so that'll be it for today. Join us tomorrow, Tuesday, January 9th, 2024, because we are not going to be doing movie news tomorrow. We are going to be watching Echo on Disney Plus. Now, I am going to work tomorrow mornings, guys, so it's kind of sucks. We are not, I can either do one episode in the morning and then go to work and then come back. I don't think that's going to work as much as I would think that it would. So it's better for me just to get up in the morning, put all the thumbnails together, schedule the first episode of Echo to go around 2:30. Then we'll have the next one at 3:30. And then I'll have my dinner break. We'll come back in the evening, just like today. 6:30 and 7:30, we'll do episodes 4. Or maybe just do 1. I don't know, we'll see. I wanted to binge it, but we didn't. It's not going to happen. So, any other big stories I wanted to talk about? Not really. Halle Bailey announcing her pregnancy was kind of weird. Or people had speculated that that was going to be a while. That was going to be happening. But Halle Bailey, she was just our Ariel. Taylor Swift and Kaylee Spaney, cool. I'll give that one the thumbs. She's going to be in an Alien movie next. You know what? If Taylor got Kaylee Spaney to star in her next movie, that would be cool. Because she's going to be directing a movie. Taylor is. All right, enough of that. Guys, thumbs up. See you next time. Let me know what your thoughts are on some of these stories, and we'll talk tomorrow right here on Mirror Domains.